All right, so here we go. We're going to be talking about today. We went through talking about our numbers this morning in our Pulse Live Power session. And then we talked about a lot about our 46 Touch Ambassador program and the critical pieces that you need to have in the 46 touches to make this successful. And then not only with the 46 touch, but the reasoning and the concepts behind it and how to make sure that when we're doing this, we're absolutely maximizing the return on our investment. And one of the things that I wanted to share some time on today is to really try to just simplify. If things aren't simple, if things aren't beyond easy and structured in your daily practice, then unfortunately, it's not going to serve you. So here's the concept that I want everyone to think through. If you only had one single goal in your existence every month, what would that goal be that would change your real estate business, right? So you had one goal. Now, we talk about in our Pulse program conversations and ambassadors. We call those lead measures that lead to the lag measure that really helps us get to that point. I want to simplify it even more. So here's the thing that I thought about every single, and I still think about every single day. How many listings am I going to sign in a single month? And here's the thought process behind this. We go, well, okay, Brennan, pick a number. No, not pick a number. We're looking at this and going, okay, let's say that your number is 1 to start out with. Think about the math on this. You have 160 hours on average a month, 160 hours to find one person that wants to sell their home and list with you. One. If your goal is to sell 12 listings a year. If the goal is 24, then 2. You have 160 hours to do this. Are you building your strategy with that kind of supreme, ultimate focus that I don't need to go meet 1,000 clients. I don't need to make 1,000 phone calls. I don't need to do all of this insanity. All I need to do is find 1 or 2 sellers that want to list and sell their home this month. So once we figure that piece out and we are beyond clear on it, and now we look at it going, okay, all I have to do is reverse out my strategy to make sure that that 1 or 2 or 3 or 4, again, my goal was 10, right? 10 signed listing agreements a month. Okay, what does that mean I need to do every week to make sure that that happens? And I think that's where we're falling down is sometimes we're just showing up and we're doing social media and we're liking and commenting on people's things and we're doing all of this other stuff. And when we're looking at this, right, what challenges us and what's the real issue there is that when we build a model like that, we are just being busy and we're not being efficient. So we look at this and go, okay, first thing, want to no matter what, guarantee myself to sign 1 listing a month. What would I do? Well, the simple answer to that is first of all, I'm going to design my entire month around one mission, which is to go, where are the easiest, most likely sellers, meaning that the sellers have raised their hand and said, hey, I'm wanting to sell, I'm wanting to pay a commission, and I'm ready to do that. We've talked about that. That's expireds. So if I'm looking at it and going, I want to have this life of control and all of this, then there's one option of lead source, which is expireds. Perfect. Now, depending on your market, there might be a lot of them. Might not be very many of them. So if you're building that daily schedule, you're going, no matter what, I'm going to start with the highest propensity person that is interested in doing something. Where we fall down is we don't take that one strategy all the way through from start to finish, right? We don't take that one strategy all the way through. So we go, I'm going to do the strategy at 10%. So let's say if you're running an expired strategy, and I'm going to talk about my 5 favorite ones in this session. If we're running an expired strategy, one piece of that, let's say that there's 10 pieces that make an expired strategy absolutely unbelievable. No one can touch you on it. You're the greatest of all time at it. You got to start reversing out that strategy. So step 1 might be, I call expireds. Great. That's 1 out of 10. And then people get frustrated. They go, you know what? I tried calling expireds for a month. That's 1 step out of 10 that need to be developed so that you can make sure you're getting in front of enough expireds to actually be able to list 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of them. And what we find is we got 1 step down, which is calling. That's 1. Let's talk about the other 9 steps. And now, when I talk about these steps, you can use this for sell by owners. You can use this for rent by owners. You can use this for the NED list, notice of elective demand, people that are 90 days past due on their mortgage. You can use this for your just sold system, your just listed system. So when we look at this, here's the number one thing. I'm in a lot of the probably same chat boxes you guys are in on Facebook, and I see this all the time. What's the number one lead source right now for buyers and sellers? And you'll see in these stupid masterminds, and I apologize, a lot of them are very stupid. You're in these groups on Facebook, and you'll see 700 comments of people going, I use Real Leads, or I use Grizzly Leads, or I use Hurricane, and I use John Daly, and I use all this crazy stuff that I'm like, what on earth are you talking about? That you're going to purchase internet leads from another company that are going to aggregate information to hand to you that is you already have at your fingertips. You're just paying this extra money because you don't have the system in place. So if we're looking at whether it's expireds for sell by owners, just listed, just sold, NED list, it's all the same concept. I'm trying to create a program to identify sellers because I don't have enough in my current database right now if you don't have a big enough database. And I'm trying to create a simple strategy that is going to maximize or guarantee me getting in front of enough qualified, ready, willing, and able sellers as fast as possible. And I only need 1, 2, 3 a month. Now, if you know your conversions and you know that you need to only list 1 a month or 2 a month, let's just use the number 2 because we want to do 24 deals. Otherwise, why are we even doing this, right? I mean, and that's minimum, right? So we're looking at, I need to close 24 listings a year. Okay. Well, how many appointments do I need to go on? Generally, you're going to be on a probably 50% success ratio, maybe not even that in the beginning, but let's just say it's 50%. So I know I need to go on 50 appointments in a year if I want to close 24 listings or sign at least 24. And you might have 1 or 2 that fall out because you didn't price them correctly or you had some sort of situation with a seller, but simple math. So if I want to sell 2 a month, I have to go on 4 appointments. Think about how much less anxiety you'll have when you have an entire week to just figure out how to get in front of 1 seller. That's all your job is. Get in front of one ready, willing, and able seller, right? That ready, willing, and able is a big piece of this. Doesn't mean you go to book clubs and happy hours and you go and do the golf tournament and someone told you should sponsor this and you should do this and you should do that. All of those pieces are building a database. That's helpful. But if it's me and I want to guarantee my future income, I go, I need to get in front of a ready, willing, and able seller this week. So where are they? Okay, where are they? They're right there in your fingertips, in your MLS, every single waking day. They're coming off the market with a previous agent. That's one bucket. The second bucket is a for sale by owner. They're saying, I want to sell my home, but I haven't decided to use an agent yet. So now we know there's that many opportunities. Then we've got people that are trying to rent their properties, and you're going to call them and tell them why it makes more sense to sell their property instead of renting it. Then we've got the notice of elective demand. We've got people that are 90 days past due on their mortgage. I'm going to call them. And then we've got the bottom of the barrel, which is the just listed, just sold call. We just sold a home, our office just sold a home in your neighborhood. It sold for X amount. I was calling all the neighbors to see if you or anyone else might be interested in selling. Yes, no, what have you. Then the final one is the just listed. We just listed a home in your neighborhood. And what I find is that people are struggling to understand that it's that easy. If you just went through this check down for an hour or 2 hours a day, 3 to 4 days a week, you would guarantee yourself that you're going to sell 2, 3, 4 listings a month from those lead sources. Why don't we do it? Well, we get all the other drama and complications and all of these things that come in. And as I said, and of course, I'm here to answer any of your questions about any of your real estate needs. But until I see a question, I'll keep going there, right? So now we go back to just one strategy. We go, I'm going to be the master of one. And I always think about Bruce Lee, right? And I might not get the quote correct, but someone can correct me in the comment box, right? He says something to the effect of, I don't fear the man that does 10,000 different kicks a year. I fear the man that does one kick 10,000 times, or practices kicking this one style of kick 10,000 times. And I know I butchered it, but the concept of that is, be a master of one technique, whichever one that you're going to pick. Truly be the absolute master of it instead of the Swiss Army knife. You're trying to be the toothpick, the screwdriver, the scissors, the knife. What happens is when you try to build a Swiss Army knife business, you are not niched, and it's very, very difficult to have focus. It's extremely difficult to have focus. So you hear people say all the time, pick a lane. It's not only pick a lane, it's pick a lane, pave it with gold, make sure that it has perfect landscaping, and that it's the most beautiful lane that you've ever seen in your entire life. That comes back to those 10 steps that I'm referring to. So if we're reverse engineering, whether it's expireds, for sale by owners, just listed, just solds, and people are going, well, why isn't he talking about my database? Again, if you're reverse engineering the database play, you have to remember you have to have a big enough database, and it does have to be big, that you are managing at scale, because the challenge with that system is only a certain percentage in your database is going to be ready, willing, and able to sell. So let's just pretend that you have a 100-person database. If you have a 100-person database, and what I mean by database, not randos in there, 100 people that know you, like you, that would do real estate business with you, same way that we evaluate what we call a turnover rate in a neighborhood if I'm going to mail to it or market to it, you're thinking about it the same way in your database. So you're looking at 100 people, and on average, let's just say best case scenario, you have a 5% turnover for your database. 5%. Like, let's say that that's just an average good number. That means 100 people own homes in your database. Out of that 100, we're only talking listings right now, not buying and investment properties, and I'll talk about all that later. I'm just trying to get you focused on 1 or 2 listings every month changes your life. Changed my life, changes all your lives. If we're trying to do it on database out of the jump, that means that if there's a 5% turnover, out of my database, out of 100, 5 people are going to list and sell a home a year. Now, looking at that of going, okay, that's 5. That doesn't get me to my 1 a month, certainly doesn't get me to my 2 a month. So either I need to have a 200-person database to do 10, I need to have a 300-person database to do X. And here's the coolest thing that's happening right now. We have the data to tell us these analytics. And if you don't, you can simply go back and do a simple process of looking at, out of your whole database last year, how many people sold a home, either with you or without you? It's probably close to 5%, right? It's probably close to 5%. And I'm seeing these questions come in. So I'll answer these in just a second, but I just want to nail down this last point. So that's where you have to have a big database to be able to do a certain amount of listings. The beautiful thing about our business is, unlike any other business in the world, we don't have to keep product in a warehouse. We don't have to have our widgets stored up. If we're not selling tacos and we have to have fresh food all the time. The coolest thing about why we have unlimited income potential is we have an unlimited resource of inventory that's right there and available to us every single day, right? It's there. Something went sideways with it. Or there's a for sale by owner saying, I want to sell my house, but I'm not sure what agent I want to use or if I want to pay a commission. Or I'm struggling with my mortgage. Some stuff happened in my life. I probably need to sell my house because otherwise I'm going to have to go into foreclosure. I don't want to do that. So we're looking at these reasons why people are immediately needing to sell. Or I'm trying to rent my property, but do I really want to rent it again and have to deal with the tenants and deal with this all over again? Man, I wish somebody would just reach out to me and tell me there's a better way. That's what we're trying to think through. So if we're looking at conversion ratios, here in our market, we have about 350 expireds-ish, maybe more sometimes, per month. So if I look at 300 and I know I only need 1 or 2 of them, right? So let's do our conversion ratios, right? So if I need 2 out of the, let's say 350, I'm going to take 2 divided by 350, right? That means that I have the highest opportunity, excuse me, I only need 3 there. I did that wrong. 350 divided by 2, right? No, I did that right. 2 listings divided by 350. Why am I getting such a weird number? Yeah, that's what that means that all I have to have is a 0.5% conversion. I was doing the number right. 2 divided by 350. I only have to convert at 0.05, 0.5%, not even 1%, has to convert with me. That's really good conversion. Like an internet lead is 3 to 4%. We're talking about a database turnover rate, 5%. I need a 0.5%, half of 1 to convert out of all of the possible expireds every month to list with me. Those are the best odds you're probably going to get in this business ever in your entire life. So now we're looking at it, and Anna's asking, how much time do you allocate into your calendar to build this system? And then I'll get to you here in a second, Victoria, and thank you for joining us, right? So how much time do you allocate in your calendar to build the system, and how did you balance working in your business versus on your business, right? So let's talk about that for just a quick second, then I'll talk to you about canceled listings because I want you to be very careful on those. So essentially you're talking about building a sales funnel. Well, yes, it's not only a sales funnel, Anna, it's a strategy of just going, I'm trying to improve my opportunity to get in front of someone. So if I look at a sales funnel, right, we call it the upside down ice cream cone, right? Usually you've drawn a piece of paper, draw an upside down triangle, and then put 3 circles on top of that triangle. We talk about it all the time, and it's all I live in is sales funnels, is you're looking at the very bottom of your triangle. That's the success. That's somebody signing a listing. Then you have the next layer that goes above that, right? So if you draw a line across that triangle, and that's the part where we're talking about the appointments and what you do when you actually go meet with people. Is your presentation right? So at the bottom is smiley face, signed listing, right here at the bottom of the triangle. Here, I got a simple piece of paper here, and I'll draw this, right? If you take your piece of paper, you're just drawing an upside down triangle, And it's going to look like that. That's my perfect triangle, right? That's the upside down ice cream cone. Then the next line, you're going to put a smiley face in the very bottom. That smiley face at the bottom of your funnel is your signed listing agreement. The next thing we have to draw above that is appointments, and we have to go on appointments, and we have to have success in that. Then the next one is we have to nurture and basically have to do lead follow-up. I'm just going to actually write lead follow-up. Lead follow-up, we put them into the system. And then this is lead capture. So let me show you what this looks like, right? I'm just doing this as fast as possible. So lead capture, lead follow-up, appointments, smiley face. Then at the top, you have 3 ice cream scoops, which is the top of the funnel. One of those ice cream scoops could be expireds. The other one could be for sell by owners. And the other ice cream scoop could be, let's say, just listed calls or just listed, conversations. So now I've just created my 3-second sales funnel. Let me be very clear. Do not add the other 2 ice cream scoops until this one is all the way perfection, right? The problem is some of you have 17 ice cream scoops at the top of your sales funnel, and you can't figure out why you're pinballing all the way around. So you want to get 1 scoop done, then add 2nd scoop when this scoop is maximized, then add 3rd scoop, then add 4th scoop. Not what I see some people, I'm like, so what do you do to get business? They're like, sometimes I do open houses, I make some calls, I have this meetup group I do, I also have this podcast, I'm doing this thing on YouTube because I saw this, I went to this class about doing YouTube. I also do. And then I go, well, talk me through the rest. So how are you lead capturing? So think about this concept for expireds, for lead capture. How do I, when I say lead capture, how do I get more expireds to reach out to me if I'm not only going to try to call them? So one piece is I can call them, but I'm only going to get a certain amount of TPCA, authorized phone numbers to call. They may not answer because a lot of people don't even answer their phones anymore. So then, okay, what's my next method? Is it text message? Okay, am I going to follow all the rules and do a text message? Okay, am I going to pay a third-party skip tracing company to find out email information and see if I can email them? Am I going to have a letter campaign that is going to go out direct mail to them? So as soon as an expired hits, I run my expireds, and I always tell this story. One of the top producing agents that I ever worked with, his name was Rick Perlante in Naples, Florida. Every single morning, he ran a factory. He took the list of expireds. He had his entire listing program, and this is way back in the day. He was mailing out VHS packages with what he does to get your home sold. This was before DVD discs. This was before you could send somebody a video link. This was before all that. He had buckets. So let's say that there was 30 a day. He would have 30 packages with all of his listing material, a video with a little sticker on his VHS video that said the Rick Perlante selling system. Don't quote me on that, but I can't remember exactly, but it said something cool like that. When I say cool, it was a VHS cheesy tape, right? And he would mail this out automatically to every single person. So list would come in, he had his package already made, he would slap a label on it, put the postage on it, and then in our office, and this was way back when I was at Coldwell Banker, he would have stacks of these buckets ready for the mailman to come and deliver to all these people that came off the market. Why would he do that? Because he looked at it and he said, that's step 2 of his system. I'm going to call them. I've got step 2 out of 10, which is I'm going to mail them something of value. And he looked at the cost of every package and he said, okay, and I can't remember the exact number back then, but let's say each package was $10 with postage, VHS tape, and whatever, right? So he's looking at going at $10 that a package. I'm going to spend $300 a day if there's 30 of them. Right? 300. And I was like, for me, I'm new. I'm like, oh my God, this is insane, right? $300 a day that he was spending. And then we take that and multiply it times 20 working business days. So 300 times 20. So he was spending $6,000 a month on this package. He was signing and listing 12 a month. So does it make sense to spend $6,000 to make, so back then Let's even just say conservatively, Naples, Florida, average sales price was 250,000. Heck, we'll say he was making $5,000 a pop. 12 times $5,000, he's making 60K a month. So does it make sense to spend $6,000 to make 60? Of course it does. Of course it does. Now, that's at $10 a package. Remember, we don't have to get to that second step yet. Can you send a letter? Can you send something that's 79 cents, 99 cents? Can you do, these types of things? So he also called them. So he called them, then they would also get his package. So, again, two tiers here that he's having. Then he made a commitment, third step of his strategy, door knock, at least one on his way to the office and one on the way home, and introduce himself. And if they weren't there, he'd leave a little sticky note saying, call me, I have some questions about your house. So do you see what I'm saying here? And I know I'm going to run out of time and I want to answer this cancel question. That's only 3 steps out of 10. A lot of us aren't barely doing the first step. We certainly aren't doing the second step for some of us. We certainly aren't doing the third step. And then we're wondering, now, he had a goal of selling 12 a month, and I think he even did more than that. I mean, he was the #1 agent in Florida forever, for a long time that I was there. And so he had built this. He started small, mastered one piece, mastered the next, and went on and on and on, right? So this is what I'm talking about, leveling up your strategy. Instead of just going, I'm going to do all of these things at 50%, I'm going to do one of these things at 95%. And that's where you see real results come through. Victoria, do you call the canceled listings too? So in your MLS, Victoria, every wording is a little bit different. If you're meaning a withdrawn listing, so when properties expire, that means their contract is ended with a previous agent, and you can go after, that's the wrong word. You can approach them because they no longer have an active agreement with an agent. Now, if they withdraw their listing and go, hey, we're taking the property off the market because I need hip surgery, or I want to remodel the kitchen, or I want to do any of those types of things, we call those in our market withdrawns, and I know in some other areas they might call them canceled. So you need to make sure in your MLS, whatever your statuses are, that it means that their agreement has ended with another agent, and now you are able to reach out to them. And if you're sending mailers, you need to make sure that you put, disclosures on it. If this property is already relisted with another person, please discard this. It's not intended to approach you at all. But there's different rules. So talk to your managing broker. What am I allowed to send expired? You can Google what am I allowed to send expired listings or not. There's all kind of different, tutelage on this, if you will. But yeah, just make sure we're in the right categories. And then Ray's asking, at what point would you enter them into your CRM? That's a great question, Ray. So if we're using a phone call data aggregate like a Mojo, a Vulcan 7, the RedX, these professional companies that harvest all this data for us, and we're making calls and we're using that system to talk to people. I don't put anyone into, well, I take that back. If you have your Mojo or your Vulcan 7 set up with a label system that you're going to be doing mailers through, then you can do it all through the same CRM that you're making phone calls through. If you are making phone calls manually, then you have to put them in your CRM, all the expireds, because you're going to put them in, and if you're going to add a mail system, you need to be able to print labels from it. You need to aggregate the data. And the nice thing about the Mojos, the Vulcan 7s, the RedX is they're going to be constantly telling you on a daily basis who's relisted, who did they relist with, all of these different things that you're going to be able to see. And that's why I used the RedX for years and really enjoyed it, is because I learned a lot of information about who they were going with. So let's say that I keep seeing people go with a certain company. Well, then I figure it out and I go, okay, what are they doing? What is that person doing that I'm maybe not doing? Because that person seems to be listing 4 of these expireds, and I'm losing out. So what are they doing? What is it? What is it that's different than what I'm at, or whatever it might be? So to answer that question, yeah, you got to get them in the CRM. It all depends on how you're going to execute the data of what your program is. If you're just doing calls, then you might not want to put them in your CRM and put them on a whole full touch system, because you're going, my only strategy right now is to call them, and if they're interested in any way and I speak to them, then they go in CRM, and then I do my processing system. If I'm processing every expired every day, 5 days, 7 days a week, whatever it might be, and I'm going to do step 1, 2, 3, 4. So like I said, step 1 is I text message them at 6:30 in the morning. Hey, I was shocked that your property came off the market. 7:30 in the morning, I'm making a phone call to them. Noon, I'm making a phone call to them. 6 o'clock at night, I'm making a phone call to them. Now people go, oh my gosh, that sounds insane. I can't do all those steps. You don't have to. I'm just saying if you're talking about a full-on process, right? Then, so there's steps in there. Then mailers go out, right? So now the mailer goes out, another step. Then door knock is going to happen. So now I make a commitment to door knock at least 2 expireds a day. If you work from home and you don't go to the office, go, I got to get off my butt and go and door knock 2 a day. When you do all of this, do you honestly think on any way on earth you're not going to get in front of 4 sellers a month to list 2? If you do those things and you don't, I don't know what on earth you said to them. Because remember, then we also have to have some script dialogue or sales conversation dialogue. We have to make sure we're good at our techniques. But that's what I wanted to share today is go deeper, not wider. Go all the way on, just think about common sense. Where is the easiest likelihood of me taking a listing? Duh, people that have already decided to list that need to sell their house. Cool. How do I get in front of them? Cool. What do I do next? That's what we're talking about here. Instead of, I hear people going, if one more agent tells me how busy they are, I'm going to lose my mind because I'm going, how are you this busy and you're closing 1 house a month? How could you possibly be this busy? Well, you don't understand, Brendan. Like, I send out this monthly newsletter and it's got blah, 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 and and I do all of this, and I never really automated it. So I decided to do that first and do all of this. Listen, everyone, I'm not saying not to have these other pieces in place, but sometimes you're letting it get overly complicated and it's not necessary. So thank you for joining us for Overtime. I know we're 5 minutes over. If there's anything we can do to ever help, please let us know. If you're in our Pulse Power Agent program, thank you, and we love having you there, and we're getting so much great results from that. If you know someone that might want to join us, let them know the power of this program. And again, if there's anything we can do, reach out, send an email, send a text, post in the comment box on this video, and we'll do the best to answer any questions you have next week. Take care, everyone.